Hey, what's up? My name is Chris, and welcome to Coding in Public. Today I want to do a live code, by which I mean I haven't practiced this, I haven't planned it ahead of time. I'm just going to code as I would if I was working by myself without recording it, except I wanted to record it and kind of walk through my thought process along with you. Now, I got to playing around with a site I was building on Netlify and noticed that they have this fun game. They've had it for a while, but you can come in here and select things. If you get it wrong, it flips it over and you keep going until you remember, something, and then you get a pair matched. All right. And then at that point, you get one pair match. You can go all the way to the end and then reset or end the game. I also remembered that I had built a memory app like this before using the Net Ninjas channel. He'd posted this a few months back, and I remember doing this. It's just been a while, so I thought it might be a good one to kind of brush up on my skills and see if I couldn't just do it. So we're going to do that live. I don't really know how far we'll get today. I have to do this a little out of time. That's why I'm not doing an actual live stream. So we might turn this into two parts. We'll see. But for now, I'm going to start by jumping over. I've got my terminal open to the directory I know I want to be at. And I know I want to do this with React. So we're going to use React, and I think I'll just use probably standard CSS, something like that. So let's come in here, and let's, first of all, I'm going to use PMPM, and then I'll do create Vite at latest. And it should actually prompt me for a name and all that kind of stuff as well. Okay, so let's call this something like memory game. And then I am going to use React. We'll just use JavaScript, and I'll CD into the memory game and PMPM install it. And then eventually we'll PMPM run dev and get everything up and running. Now, while that installs, I know I was kind of thinking for this side of the card, I might just use like my little avatar guy for the site, and then maybe use emojis or something like that on the other side. So I know I've got that over on my blog that I am in the midst of finally getting around to updating the code. I don't know when it'll be done, but some point here. So let me go ahead and grab this. And I thought this was an SVG. So I'm just going to copy all of that, and that way we've got it when we need it. Okay, back over this way. Looks like it's still working. Just kind of thinking through my thought process here. Let's kind of start with it real simple. I'll probably just color one side of the card and get it functional, and then at the end we will style it, and that way we have a nice breakpoint if I need to wait to style it until a separate video. All right, that took forever. I ended up actually just chopping off some of that because at some point it's not worth watching. All right, let me just open this up in code. In VS Code, this is just using a custom profile I have set just for recording, and then I'll drop it in over here. All right, so that's set up to go. I'm going to open this up locally here and say PMPM run dev. And once we get that up and going, let's come inside here. Let's see, we've got some assets here. I'm kind of thinking, yeah, I guess we probably can just load this. So let's just say like head or something like that, .svg. And I'll go ahead and paste in that SVG code I copied earlier. And then let's close this down. Actually, I need to open this up, and then we'll close it down. All right, there we go. We've got the app.js over this way, and I'm going to get rid of pretty much, let's see, I guess everything inside here. Let's get rid of this as well. Let's see, do I have any clears I might want to keep now? And we'll do the same thing here. All right, so that's all done. Let's see, this main is fine. So let's come inside here, and let me just kind of scaffold out a little bit of what I'm thinking. Let me figure out why Prettier is taking so long here. But so I'm going to want several cards, and I think what I should do is just start with them up top here in some kind of an array. I was thinking emojis for these, so we could say like items or something like that. And I'm just going to set this. It doesn't need to be state. So I'll just do some kind of emojis. I guess these are my most frequently used emojis, so let's use these. This is an app called Raycast, by the way. It's for Mac. It's like a shortcut launcher. So let me grab a bunch of these. Maybe let's see if we have 16 tiles maybe. So I guess we'll need 8 of these. So let's grab a couple more. For some reason it went on the other screen. Okay, here we go. And prayer hands. Nothing like exposing which emojis I use the most. This isn't necessarily universal, but I guess it is on this computer. Let's see, 7, I think. So I got one more. All right, we're going to put these in the middle of things. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that works. We'll just call them items. That's fine. Then what I want to do is loop through those items. So items, and I think I could just use the index for now. I think that works. So we'll say .map, and we'll call this I, and say that for each of these, let's see how I want this to be. I guess what I really want to do is pass it to some kind of component. So I think I'm going to create a component over this way, and we'll go ahead and create a components folder just because, even though I'm probably only going to have one. We'll call this card.jsx, and let's scaffold out. Let's see, how about that? Okay, so we've got this card, and we will go ahead and take in, I guess this would just be the emoji. I think that'll work. And then we will print it out here. So emoji, like that. And come back over this way. And what I want to do is pass this to my card component. I thought it would like autocomplete that for me, but I guess not. So I'm going to come in here and import my card. I guess card is what it should be. From, we'll go up to components and then go card like that. All right, I think that should work. Oh, let's see, same directory. All right, there we go. And now I just want to pass it. My emoji would be basically just the item, right? So we'll pass it the item like this. Maybe. Let's see what's going on. Oh, it's got to be the eye. Here we go. All right, does not provide export named card. Sorry, it's a default export maybe. All right, let's check back over here and make sure that we can actually get this card working properly. All right, card.jsx, export card. I mean, it is a, how about that? All right, and then back over this way. And this is the default, I suppose. Okay, it does not, I need this to be export default. Sorry, default export. Not sure where this is giving me trouble, but, oh, you know what? I think it's because I don't have, here, let's do this. All right, that'll work. Now we're going to take in an emoji. All right, strong start to the stream. This is good. Emoji like this. All right, there we go. Well, let's hope we do better than that as we keep going. All right, so I've got each of these passed in here. That's good. They do need some kind of key on them, so we'll do, maybe what we'll do is pass this in here as emoji and as index. And this needs to be parentheses, not curly braces. And then inside here, we'll pass in the emoji. And we'll have a key prop. Let's close down the sidebar here. And this will be the index. I don't know that it super matters. Let's see. There we go. All right, so there they are. We've got them all set there. I think what I want to do next is let's just go ahead and get some stuff for some styling for the card up. So let's grab the card here. And we'll give this a class name here of card. And then I think what I'll do is just, let's put everything, I guess technically I should probably do this. So we'll do card.css. And then here, I guess I can make this a module, but let's just keep it simple. So I'll say anything with card. We'll have a width. Right now we'll just do 100 pixels and a height of 100 pixels. And what I'm going to want inside here, I guess, isn't so much a card, but first of all, a card container, because what I think I need is two separate things that I then flip over. If I want it to have that kind of flipping effect, I'm guessing that would need to be like position absolute. So here I would have maybe like, let's just call this front maybe. And that would have my emoji head on it. So we'll put a placeholder here, emoji head, or not emoji, my avatar head. And then this one would need to be back, and this is going to actually have the emoji in it. Okay, so I think that should work. This emoji head we need to import up top, so I'll say import. Let's see, let me just steal this here. And then add it here. And I'll call this head from head.svg, except I need to go up a level. I think, yeah, there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and drop this in here. So we'll say image, and then this src is going to be head, and this alt will be head. That works. Let's go ahead and set a width on here of something like, actually, maybe let's just do a mass reset of everything. So I'll come back over here and we'll reset the image at that point. So we want the after, and I also am going to want the before. We'll set the margin to 0, the padding to 0, and box sizing to border box. And then let's set the image here. I typically just do these as display block for the most part, like that. And then max width of 100%. And I think that should work. They're kind of big, obviously, but at least we have a basic reset. And then I'll come over here and maybe... See, this is inside here. Let's just set this width to something like 30. Maybe be a little bit bigger, but... All right, that'll work. And then for now, I'm going to actually comment this. Well, do I need actual styling? I think let's just leave this alone for now. I'll come back to that. All right, so with that kind of basic stuff set up, we're going to want on each of these cards in the card container to have some kind of like pointer event or something. So maybe I'll take the card container and do all the action on here. So I think I'd want this to be a button, and that way you can come and tab to it as well. And then what we can do is do on click, and we can run a function, and maybe we pass this down, but for now let's just say like handle button, or handle card click, and we'll just say, oops, right here, we'll say function handle card click, and for now let's just say console.log clicked, or click. All right, so let's make sure that's all working properly. If I come in here and open this up, on click, what did I say? Yeah, that is what I want, thank you. All right, I click here, those click, perfect, okay. So that works. Let's take the card container and do a little bit of base styling and maybe get everything in the center, and then we can kind of go from there. The other thing I need to do is double all of these as well. So one thing at a time though. So let's take our card container and say display grid, right? Yeah, display grid. And what I want here is I'm going to have grid template columns, and I want 4. So let's just repeat this. Repeat. Let's do 4 and then 1 fraction. So that should work for me. Grid template columns. What am I messing up here? Let's just make sure that I didn't misspell that or something. You know what? I never actually pulled this in. All right. I forgot about that. Getting ahead of myself. This is what it's like to live stream now. So let's come in here and let's just import card.css. There we go. All right, come back over this way. See, now these should... I wonder why it's doing it like that. Card container. Oh, you know what? This needs to be the actual card. Then I need a card container on everything else. So let's do that. So let's bring these down here. And this card container is going to be at the app level. All right, so over this way, I guess I need to steal this. I'm going to put everything in the middle. And this, so place items, center. Over here though, and I guess we'll do it in the app CSS. We'll have a card container, and then maybe we call this like game board, because that should be the game board. And then we'll say display grid, place that in there. All right, now let's add that. Let's call this, see, I think I'm fine leaving that. just maybe wrapping this, we'll say game board. Because I probably will need some other things. I don't know exactly what I'll do, whether I have like a new game button or something like that. But there we go. Let's also then take this app, come inside here, and we'll say app, and we'll say display grid, and place items center. And then I guess the only other thing we need to do is make sure that everything in the body here is display grid. We'll place items center here as well. And then min height. Height will be 100 view height. All right, there we go. So they're in the middle at least to start with. I'm trying to think if I need to do anything else here to get this functional. I guess technically I need two sides of those cards, but what I'll do is take the front and the back. Maybe what I'll do is add the class of side to both of these. For now, I'll say side. We will add a border of like 2 pixels, solid and red, just to distinguish those. Did I add that to both of those? I'm sure I did. This needs to go here. Right, there we go. That way I can kind of click on each individually and know which I've clicked on. All right, last thing I need to do before we can actually work on functionality is double these. So what I need to do, I guess, is multiply these several times over. So let me do that, and I guess we could just like shuffle the cards on themselves. So maybe let's, because we'll need to shuffle them when we restart as well. So we could just have it like reset cards, something like that. So reset cards. And I think let's make this an arrow function. Actually, I kind of like to make these regular functions. So let's say function. And then I want to reset the card. So I need to take in my item. Let's see how. I'm trying to think. I'll need some state to kind of keep track of my cards as well. So let's say cards here and set cards. Like that. And then for now, I guess we'll just start with this at null. It's going to be an array eventually, but what I'll do is say like shuffled. And I'll set this to, let's take in my items. And then we'll take them in again. And then I need to math.random the items, or see, I need to sort them, right? So sort, and then inside here, we'll sort them according to a math.random. And this isn't like truly random, but it's close enough because it gives you 0 to 1 if you do 0.5 there. And it'll basically randomize them. All right, and then for each of them, so yeah, this is a little lazy to do this, so maybe what we should do is say, yeah, let's do this. So let's see, I don't need this here. Yeah, so for each of these, and again, we'll space this out. Why is this up here? All right, like that. For each of these, let's map over them and then attach an ID to them, I think. So I need them to be the same thing. So what if I do the ID, maybe not an ID, but some kind of data attribute here? I like that, I think. So what I'll do, even though this is going to take some time, let's maybe take each of these. Yeah, let's take each of these here. I'll hit Command D to select them all. And then I will break them here and do the same thing here. That way I can kind of do it all at the same time. We'll see if I can keep it all straight with multiple cursors. So I'll grab this again, grab all these here. Oh, and I need one more. Okay. There we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is make each of these objects, and we will call this like symbol or something. Yeah, I think that works. And then I'll just give it an ID of, I got this thing called text pasty, and we'll just do 1 to whatever I have, 8. I think that works. Then I'll close this one off. I just forgot to add these, or this one here. Did that work? Not quite, because I didn't close any of these out. Okay, almost. 6 and 7, and then like this. Well, this is definitely, I'm glad to be able to do this ahead of time to have something out, but my preferred way is definitely to doing streaming while I get to talk with you guys, because that's half the fun of it. So now each of these should be shuffled here. So then what I want to do is set my cards to shuffled. Is that right? And then what I can do is take cards, dot map, and I'll map over all those. And what I'll take in here is, let's extract, what do I have? What are they called again? Symbol and ID. So symbol and ID. And then I'll pass in here the ID and pass in here what probably should have been called the emoji, since that's what it is, but that's all right. So we'll say symbol. All right, let's see if that works. You know what? They have to, first of all, we got to grab the object.entries, right? Of my cards. And now figure out what's going on. Undefined null to object. So I guess each of these, let me see how this is going to pass it to me. I think this is like an array of something. So let's console.log object.entries, and we'll pass in shuffled here. And then let's just get rid of all this so it stops yelling at us, so we can see what we actually get. So reset cards. I have to actually run that. So it's not doing anything right now. Okay, so maybe we attempt to fix it, and then if that doesn't work, we come back to this console log. Because I think what needs to happen is I'm obviously not running this function anywhere. So what I need to have is some kind of use effect. And maybe what I do is just have that. Let's see, that reset cards, though, I'm going to need to use another React hook to get reference to that. Well, for now, let's move it inside of it. Let's see, use callback. Maybe not. Use callback. I'm pretty sure this is what this is for. Memoized hook. Okay, so use callback, so I just pass it like that. All right, pass the inline callback array of dependencies. Use call minimize version of the callback that only changes if one of the dependencies is changed. This is useful. Okay, I think I need to do this, if I remember correctly. And React is definitely something I'm actively learning. I don't feel like I'm an expert at it, or even honestly very good at it, but I think it's helpful for me to work on projects like this for this sake. So that's what I'm going to do. And hopefully this is the right way to do this. Pretty sure this works. All right, because it's a function, that's why I have to pass it this use callback, I think. So we'll say const reset cards, right? And then I'll say use callback. We'll pull that in up top. And then this will go like this. All right, I think that's correct. And then I just need to close this out. And let's see, any dependency arrays. I guess just items, right? This should be items anyhow. Okay, so then I think this means that I can pass this in down here. So then what I would do is say reset cards like this and pass this in as dependency of this use effect. Let's see if that's right. Definitely not. All right. I thought this, like, maybe it's use ref. Let's see. What does this do? Mutation ref objects use current properties initialized to pass the argument. Okay, let's try this. Let's come up here and say use ref. See, I thought this is just for DOM elements. I'm not totally sure, so I think for now what we'll do is just kind of set this off. Maybe let's just leave this alone for now and get rid of this use callback to start with. Okay, so let's come inside here and just call reset cards and see what it does. If I didn't already just totally kill the app. Item is not defined. That's because I forgot to change that out. And then we need to pass in an empty array here. All right, I think that worked. Now let's uncomment this. And I think what I need to do, okay, so it is kind of working. What I need to do is unique key prop. Oh yeah, that's right, they don't. I need those IDs in order to connect the two of them together. So when I click on one side to know that it's connected to the other, I think that's the way I'm going to do that. So I do need another property on here that's randomized. So let's just add it directly in here. So we could say something like map these. We'll take the card, or yeah, I guess card is fine. Yeah, and then let's return an object, which means I need to wrap it in parentheses. We'll take in the normal card properties and then tack onto it like key or something like that. And here we'll just say math.random. I think that'll work, yeah. So I guess there's a chance that that could be identical, but if in 16 that's identical, we got other problems on our hands. So let's take the key there. I also think let's see, I guess I got to pass in key here as well. All right, and then I guess the ID I can pass in as the ID. All right, let's see what's going on here. If I console log this, do I actually get it before it all errors out on me? Get out of here. Okay, yeah, I'm getting it. So this should have an ID. Okay, so I don't need the entries. I need the values. All right, mountain out of a molehill. That should not have taken that long. Okay, so we've got them shuffled now. They're at least where we can click on them. Now let's change it up to where, let's see, how do I have this set up? I had it to where the handle click was here, but now that I think about it, I guess that's fine. I'm going to get an ID in here as well, and that's really what I want. And I'm going to click on the button itself. So yeah, that'll work. So we'll say data ID, because these need to be the same, so they can't actually be your true IDs. And this will just be equal to the ID that I passed in. And then what I'm going to do is come up here and console.log the e.target.dataset.id. So let's open this up and see if we got that working. Oh no, we were doing so well. I think this is what I thought I had to do earlier, which is I need to first of all say if they exist, then I go through this. So let's take these out and say cards, then we do that. Okay. So if I click on this, undefined, 3. Oh, you know what? I think it's because I'm clicking on the image or the button. So let's set the front and the back here using this to pointer events of none. And that way, wherever I click on the card, it will give me access to that. So here, All right, so all I need to compare then is basically which side, or which ID. So there's a 3, there's a 7, there's a 2. So obviously these two, let's see, this one right here and this one down here should be 6. This one here should be 5, and so should this one be 5. Okay, so that's good. All I have to do then is change that up. So let me go to the card, and I guess because the state's up top, I think the easiest thing might be to actually pass this down. So let's do that. Handle card click, we'll pass down, and then we'll keep all the logic in the parent component. So I'll come back over here, and we'll say function handle card click, and just to make sure everything's still working the same, we'll say handle card click is equal to handle card click. All right, should still be working. Click here and here. Those should be the same. Okay, so each time I click, what I want to do is basically figure out if I've already clicked something. So I think I need some more state. And I think the best way to do this would be just to have like state that holds which choice I've done. So const, we could call it like first and set first. What about first choice? Or how about first selection? Selection, and then set first selection. And we're going to set these both equal to use state null. And then we'll do the same thing, and we'll do a second for both of these. So I'll select this, hit Command D, and change this to second. All right, so the first time I click, I guess what I want to ask is if first selection. So I guess what I need to do is basically figure out if both have been selected, and if they have, then I compare them. The other thing I can do, let's see, if the first has already been selected, then I can just immediately return like evaluate or something like that. Selections. Let's do something like that. And so I'll return this and run this outside here. So I'll say function evaluate selections. Yeah, I guess that works. So if it is, we'll go there. Otherwise, what we'll do, so that's like a little guard clause. So if both have been selected, then it will go to evaluate these. And I will console.log. Let's just do first. And this will be equal to, oops, this will be equal to, what is that, first selection? And then maybe we do the same, change this to second selection, right? Yeah, I think that should work. Now, I guess this would be better done like this, right? And we'll add this in here. And same thing here. All right, that way we get both of them, and just we're seeing if they compare to each other. So this would happen only if I already have something in the first selection. Otherwise, what I want to do is I want to just add. That's not quite right because I have to first add it. So let's do this. Let's bring this down, and we'll say set second selection. And we'll set this to e.target.dataset.id. All right, and then otherwise what I want, and then I'll evaluate it right after that. I think that works. I could also fire like a custom event or something. But what we also need to do is return here, so I can skip all this stuff down here below. Okay, then otherwise I'm going to set my first selection. So all I have to do is bring this down here, and I'll set this to my first selection. So I think that'll get us the basic functionality. Let's see what we can do. So if I come over here, I click here. I should have something now, my first selection. I click here, it should be something different. Second selection. Okay. Now, why is that not coming through? Because my guess is if I come over here, the state actually will be updated. 6 and 2. So yeah, so I'm getting it here. A problem is I think this is running right away. So maybe I just add it directly in here. And then every time the state changes, I use a use effect to compare those. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I think we could just do this with the ternary. So I'll say first selection, if it exists, then we'll do second selection. Maybe I just do it like this. And then otherwise we do set first selection. Yeah, that should work. So let's try that now. I'll clear that out, which means my state should clear. Click here. That goes to 4. This goes to 4. Okay, so those kind of go one after the other. Now, what I can do is every time I update this... See, I guess what I need is... either of those selections. I guess I can just watch this and another use effect. So let's do that. I'm going to copy this up. We'll create another use effect, except in this case, what I'm going to do is I need to pass in first selection and second selection. And then I'm going to come in here and we will basically ask if first selection, so this will be like a guard clause. So if they don't both exist, I think like that. I guess what I need to do first of all is, so every time I'm refreshing replacing this out, so it's setting the first and the second. If they're both there, then I actually want to disable any clicks first of all. So let's create a little list for ourselves. All right. So let me come in here and let's just kind of think through this, because I think I'm getting lost in talking to myself. So let's say first of all, if both are selected, are present even, then disable all cards. So that's the first thing to do. I guess the other thing I can do very first, so we'll name this 2. If no second, then bail hard. All right, so just return out of there. If they're both present, then disable all the cards. And maybe what I can do is make these like little subpoints. All right, so then I'm going to disable all the cards. And then I'm going to then check if the same ID, handle same plus handle different. All right, something like that. So first of all, we're just going to see if this exists. So if there's no second selection, the other thing I need to do is clear choices or selections. So if it doesn't exist, then I'm just going to return, because then it's not ready to compare them. If first selection is equal to second selection, I think I can do a triple equals check there. Then I want to basically ask if they're the same thing or not. Now the other thing I need to do is have some kind of way of tracking if it's been matched to its pair. But I guess let's do that in a second. So let's first of all disable the cards, because that's what we're supposed to do. So we already bailed hard. All right, if both are present, then what we're going to do is disable all the cards. So let's go through all our cards. All right, set cards. Actually, maybe we have a state. So let's do that. Let's say, let's pass this in too, I think. Can I space this out, or is my prettier going to reformat all this? No, that works. Okay. So I think what we're going to do is add another piece of state here. We'll call like set disabled. And for right now, we'll set this to false. Actually, no. I want to pass this down. And I guess this could be true for every card. The other thing is I'm also going to want disabled for individual cards. But I guess that could just be done with CSS if the match property is selected. So I think that's what we'll do. So we'll set this to set disabled and use this as like a global selector. So let's grab this here and we'll say disabled and set disabled. We'll set this to false to start with. I'm not sure why I'm capitalizing that. All right, or this. All right, set disable. We'll set that to false. Let's also then, I'll get our cards because I think it's going to yell at us here. Cards. And we'll set this to set, or no, just disabled. This needs to be disabled. All right, I think that should work. I messed up something dumb. Cards. Should be cards. All right. Then what I want to do is add one more property to all of these. Basically what I want to add is a matched or something like that here. So let's grab all these. So we'll add another property. We'll call it matched, or how about match found? Something like that. We'll set this to false to start with. And then we can use that to basically determine, we can toggle that on or off based on, I don't know, something in this use effect. Okay, so we disabled all the cards to start with. So we'll say, first of all, we're going to set disabled to true. And what we'll do in here is take in that disabled. Disabled. And what we'll do is just say, turn this into a template string. All right, what we'll do is say disabled, then we'll add true, or I guess this doesn't need to be, let's make this a data attribute instead. That way the styling stays with the CSS. So we'll say data disabled equals disabled. Okay, so if this is true, then we'll disable it, and then what I'll do is select this in the CSS, and we'll say data disabled equals true. Then we'll set this to, let's do like an opacity to like 0.5, and then pointer events none. Actually, why am I doing this? I just set the disabled attribute. All right. Yeah, I'm making this way too complicated. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. We'll just set a disable attribute on everything, on all these cards. All right, so we don't need to pass that down either. I'll just come in here and say, actually, maybe I should keep this in and just say disabled. Can I do it like this? Let's see. Disabled, then disabled. Is that possible? Doesn't seem like it. What if I do that? It tried to do something. Invalid attribute name. Let's see what it did here. Did I get anything on any of these? No. Data ID 7. Is it gonna do anything if I click on any of this? No, I just get lots of errors. All right, back to the original idea. Although I'm pretty sure I'm making this more complicated than it needs to be. But maybe let's make it a disabled attribute. The thing is, I think it's going to disable it no matter what. Because if this is on it at all, it will disable it. But I'm not actually seeing it show up on the card. What if I just set this to disabled true? Okay. So it does actually work like that. I just forgotten that in React. Okay, so that won't actually set this to start with. It will just toggle true when I set it true. Maybe? Is that both of these? Let's come back over here and set disabled to true. And this is going to be passed down. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so they're all disabled. All right, I don't know what the problem was, but I think I had it right. Okay, so now that they're both, it'll set to as disabled. 1, 2. Now it's not working again. Where's my state? Oh, here it is. Okay, so let's refresh here. That's disabled. So we click here, should still be false. Click here. Now it should turn to true. Because they have a first and second selection, right? Let's come back in here. We'll evaluate the selection. That's not it. Right down here. Okay. So let's set disabled to true first. Okay, there we go. Not inside there. We're turning this into a project. All right, so, and refresh. I click here, and click here, and then it should go true. Okay, so now they're all disabled. Now I can evaluate. All right, so if they are the same, so we're gonna have a couple different scenarios. So if they're the exact same, we need a score. So let's do that. Let's say score. And we'll set this to 0 by default. We will say set score. And here I need to take in the previous score. I need to update it because we're mutating that state. Yeah, I need to take the prev and I need to add to it 1. Then I guess I need to check. So I've done this now. Check if it's the same idea. Under here, so increment score. And then check if game complete. And then reset game, maybe. So I would know it's complete if set score equals, or if my score equals 8. Now the timing of this, I might need to think through, but we could say if score equals 8, I should be done because I'm just incrementing it by 1. So return alert, congrats, you've won. So let's try that. Let's turn this on here, score 0. So let's do these. So it should go to 1. Okay, good. Now I need to also set disabled to false again. All right, so I click here, pointing down and pointing down, should go to 1, good. Here, now why is that? Oh, I have to clear them both, okay. Small details. All right, so once I've set the score, then I can set, maybe we have like a function here that says like reset, I guess reset choices, selections, and this will just say set first selection to null and set second selection to null. Second selection to null. And then I'll pass this in as a dependency as well. Right? Is that just going to infinitely run? I guess it would run twice. Are we ever going to want to do this? I guess in the game we'd want to do this, but I can write that twice. So maybe I bring this inside. Because basically if I'm passing it in as a use effect, so we'll say function, then it's going to run. And then when it runs, it's going to say, hey, both of these have changed. So it'll run this again. So it'll run it twice, and I don't think it really needs to do that. So let's just come in here. We'll say reset selections right here. And now I don't have to pass it in as a dependency because it's inside the use effect. All right, hopefully that made sense. So I'll click here and here. Now they both go to null, but we're added up. I should have done this in a better order. So I remember, let's wave. Have I waved already? Here and here. 5. Have I done this? I don't think so. I don't think I've done this either. And then I guess it doesn't matter if I've done it before because it shouldn't know that. Have I done hands? I must have done hands, maybe. Okay, so now I'm at 8. So score should equal 8. Do I have to go to 9? Okay, so I do. So basically the problem is it's resetting this, it's setting the score here, but it hasn't re-rendered by the time it gets down to here. I gotta think through that. Okay, so just trying to think through this out loud. I don't think I need to check this score. Let's get rid of that. We're at least getting it to add up properly. That means if I click these two, it should not clear yet because I haven't set that up. And it says basically that I'm not getting them, or that I didn't find a match. So we've incremented this. Let's leave these two alone for now. I guess underneath this one. This is already done. So handle the same plus different. All right, so the same as what this was. So handle different and then clear selections, which I needed to do under both of these. I already did it there. So let's do that. So handle different. Yeah, that works. So we'll say else. And I guess if either way I have to reset the selection, I might as well just put this down here. And then what I can do is say same thing here. This is also set disabled to false. Okay, so else, if it's not, then I just want to set disabled to true. I guess I don't want to do anything. So I think I'm missing a component here, which is I need to think through how to reflect this in the UI. Because I'm mostly just thinking about state right now, not about actually passing in. Like, I think what I need to do is be changing up this match found property and using that instead. So I think that might be the missing component mentally that I'm not thinking through. So let's come back down here. And what I want to do is, before I set the score or anything like that, I want to take the first and second selection card, maybe loop through those and see if they have the ID that's, so loop through all the cards. Yeah, so I need to set the cards again. Yeah, that's what I need to do. So I need to take my previous, and then I need to I guess I need to map over them, right? Yeah, so if I return my previous dot map and I take in my card and I just return, let's see, card dot, what is it going to have? The ID should be the thing I'm tracking. Yeah, so ID. Because it should have a key on it as well, but that's just randomly generated. So if that equals the let's see, the first selection, right? First selection dot just the first selection should be that same number, right? Okay, so if that's the case, and maybe let's space this out. All right, so I'll just return instead of implicitly returning. And I'll ask this. If it equals that, And maybe we just do a standard if statement here too. So if that equals that, then I'm going to return, that's at the card, and I'm just going to set matched found to true. Else, I'll just return the card like that. All right, I think that should work. And these all need to be, actually, let's just change this to card to make it a little bit more explicit. All right, so I set the selections on the first card. Now I think I basically need to do the same thing for the second card. So let's come down here. I guess what I really want to do I have a reset cards function? I do have a reset cards. I don't want to reset everything. Reset selections. All right, let me break this out a little bit differently. So I think I do actually want to break this out. So we've got this reset cards. This will be for like the game ending. This evaluation is going to happen inside the use effects, so we can get rid of that. This just handles when it's clicked. This reset selection, maybe we call this like reset turn or something like that. And then these can reset both of those. It also needs to, is this where I'd have, let's see, how do these things work? I've got total moves I've done. So let's do that too. All right, we're getting somewhere, I think. So moves and set moves, we'll start at 0. So each time I reset the turn here, we'll say moves or set moves to move, and then move +1. All right, just because we're mutating that state. And then let's also set our disabled to false again, which means I should be able to get rid of several things in here. So like this, I can just return reset turn. No, I just need to return altogether. What did I have down here? Set disabled true. Yeah, that was fine. All right. If those are both the same, then I basically update this on the first selection card. And this should work if the card equals the first selection. It doesn't really matter which selection because they're both the same IDs. So that will set both of them to match true. Okay, so they're both fine. Then I can just reset the cards down here. Not cards, turn. All right, and then how do I score this? I guess I need to keep track of this score somewhere, so I could set the score here. So that's if they all match. All right, then I probably need to have some kind of check somewhere. So I guess the other thing I can do is anytime the cards change, I can check if game is finished here. So that after it renders that last time, it can check. So we'll do that. Now the else here would be if they don't match. So if they don't match, I still want to reset the turn. I don't want to set the score at all. So we'll just reset turn here too. Which I guess means I can just drop this down here and get rid of that. Now the only thing is I may want to wait a second, but I think for ease of use, let's just do this. All right, okay, so let me talk through that, assuming that it works. So what I'm doing is every time when the cards are changed at all, or the first or second selection are changed at all, I'm checking to see if the second selection exists. If it doesn't, there's no point in comparing them, so I just jump out of here. If it does, then the first thing I do is I set disabled to true for everything, and then I do a check so that they can't click anymore. If they're the same, I basically loop through them all and figure out if any of them match this. There should be 2 that match it if they're the exact same, and it should change those to true. At that point, I set the score to 1 plus whatever it used to be, and then unreachable code detected. Let's see, is that because I'm in this like Mondo if statement? So like that, okay. And then either way, I reset the turn. Yeah, that works. Okay, so I think that should work. And maybe what I can do too here is like, let's jump over here. Let's console.log nope, and put this in an else statement just to make sure it's working. And then, yep. All right, so if you get it right, it says yep. So you say nope, okay, good. If you come here and here, this should say yep. Okay, we're getting somewhere. All right, it's working now. What I need to do is basically determine whether or not to show the card at all, maybe as a starting point. So I've passed in, do I pass in the whole card at any point? I'm passing in the emoji, the ID. Let's just pass in the card. And maybe not extract all this. ID symbol key, yeah. So maybe let's just pass in the card. I think, yeah. So we'll say this is card.key. And then all of this can just be key. Or sorry, card. I think this will work. All right, and now what I can do is come over here and I'll grab the card here. And then here what I'm interested in is the card.emoji, the card.id, and I think that's everything. Do I have any other cards here? Maybe I shouldn't call this card. All right, I've messed all this stuff up because this should be capitalized. I capitalized the state. I didn't capitalize this. What is going on? All right, so that should work now. Let's come back up here. All right, I did pull that in properly. What is this? All right, sorry if you're yelling at your computer right now. This is the real life stuff. Okay, so we got all that stuff. Got the card pulled in here. Okay. Now, this emoji is not pulling in. All these are pulling in properly. That's good. This is not coming in. It's probably because we called it symbol. All right, well, that was stupid. Let's just change them all here. And we'll say emoji. There we go. Okay. So now we got everything pulled in properly. The only other thing I want to do is then grab that matched. And basically that will decide if this should be disabled. So if that exists or matched. No. Can I do it for both these? Disabled. Or I guess it doesn't need to be. I could just do pointer events none on it and add it as a separate class. So let's do that. Let's come back in here like we were before for the disabled, except this time we're going to do it. We'll do like matched or something like that. We'll say card dot match found. If that's true, then we'll say matched. And then what I'll do is come over here and grab my card and say if card also has matched, then I'll set pointer events to none and opacity to 0.5 and leave it like that. All right, so let's try that. So I click here and here. Let's see, did that do anything? It says false. Maybe I need to say match found equals true. Let's look inside here again, inside the game board. So click here and click, where's the other saddle? Here? No. So I think I do need to delay slightly because otherwise you can't even tell you're clicking on anything. So let's start like that. So I do actually need this to delay. Or was that down here? So we'll set else, move this up top, move this in here and say like set timeout. And we'll pass this in, I guess, as a function like that, and set this to like maybe 1 second. All right, that way if we click here, let's refresh, click here and click here. I thought that was right, so that's not gonna help us. Here and here, 1 second, and then it flips. Okay, so that way I can tell it's actually doing something. Now what I wanna know is if I click the same one here and here, do I get any of these things set to true? No. Did I just misname that? Match found equals false. Let's see what it's like over here in my state. False. False. These are the ones I clicked though. That should all also be false. So somehow this is not updating my state. So let's look at this head guy. So we'll go him and his counterpart. Those should be changing this match found to true. So that's my problem. So let me close this down here. Oops. Right here. And match found should now be equal true. Is this because I'm doing a triple equal check? Let's try. Okay, so I'll come back in here. Look at the sad guy. Sad guy here, sad guy here. True, okay. Now, did it do anything over here? No. All right, so we found one problem. I think it's because one is a string. And this must be set as a number. Yeah, so I guess what I could do is, I think I only have these IDs. I guess I could just surround these here. Now they're all strings. Do I have an ID down this way? No. Okay. Then I should be able to move it back, and that should work now. So where is that? Right here, just to keep the strict checking on. Let's come back over here. Check this out. Okay, so we got this first emoji. Let's check this here and here. Should go to true. Okay. All right, so those are good. Match found true. Now let's come back over this way and figure out what we did wrong. Where's it at? Right here? Nope, right here. So card match found equals true. Maybe let's, I don't know. I don't think that's checking just if it exists. So if it's true, we'll say matched. Oh, I guess I already had that. Otherwise, let's just pass an empty string. I'll see what that does. You know what? I think it already worked. Yeah, there you go. So now these are disabled. I can't even click on them anymore. I'm just using CSS. Let's prayer hands. Where's our guy? This guy. And this guy. Here, and here, here, and here, and here, and here. All right, now everything is dead to us. We can't do anything. All right, that's cool. That actually worked. Let's come back over here, and we'll also say like user select is none. Is that gonna mess up clicking on them? I don't think so. What happens if I double click? Wait a second. If I click the same one. Okay, so that's something else we need to think about. If I click the same one twice, it's always gonna mark it as correct. Which, I mean, is kind of a way to hack it. So maybe we should say that's awesome. But maybe I also need to come in here and say when the first one is selected. So first selection, if there's no second selection, then what I should do is locate. Yeah, so I think I'll locate. Let's see, I have a handle card click. So maybe what we do is just say if first selection exists, then we return this. Otherwise, I will do two things. I will first of all say e.target. disabled. Is that what I want to do? Basically, I want to figure out if I can make this thing disabled. How are the other ways I've done this? I've set disabled to true, and then I've also set on this, like, what do we call that thing? Matched. So I could say e.target dot I think that'll reset, because it should reset down when I get a correct one set. So e.target.classList class name dot add, and then I would add matched to it. Let's see what that does. So if I click here, nah, I can't do that in React. I say we just leave that alone for now then, and that will be like a hack that only you and I know about. All right. So yeah, let's do that. And maybe I can handle it or mention something in here. So like a to-do at some point is to like handle duplicated card, single card collect, something like that. I don't know that we'll get around to that. We need to check if the game's complete now and then reset the game if it is. So I think what I'll do is just make it to where it resets automatically. I think that may actually be how NetNinja did it. I guess you can click new game as well. Maybe we can do that. And this one, yeah, you can reset it or end the game. All right, where are we at? Over here. So let's check to see, we've already handled different. Let's check to see if the game is complete. So we'll do that. Where do we say? Right here. Okay, so if the second, if score is equal to 8, then return, actually, let's do alert. We need to throw some kind of confetti or something, you know? But maybe for now, let's just alert, like, congrats, you've won. And then it'll return, what's this thing called? Reset cards. And I was thinking I'd need to, like, have this passed in as like, or use that use callback, but I think the idea is I'm not actually, I think I'm okay here. So we'll see. You can tell me if I'm wrong in the description. I mentioned I'm learning it, and I very much am. All right, so let's go through all this again. I really should make these emojis bigger to start with, because that would majorly help me. Let's just do that real fast. So I'll say front, now back. Font size is like 4 rem, so I can actually see what's going on here. That's way too big. 2 rem, 1 rem, whatever. Okay, that's not really very helpful. 2 rem, and maybe we'll just get rid of this. And that way we can make this as big as we need it to be. We'll go 5 rem, sure. All right, this guy and this guy, this guy and this guy, this guy and this guy, this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. You've won? Okay, this should be 8. We have another strict agreement problem. That is a number. I'm checking number. Isn't that called score? Yep, it's called score. See now, because I passed in, because I've updated my first and second selection, I'm assuming it's going to refire here. Well, let's try again. All right. So we'll take these 2 guys, this guy, these 2 guys, this guy, these 2, this guy, this, and this. Huh. That's also not working. Do we need to do this down here? I think this is what we did before though, and it wasn't working. So maybe we do this in the reset turn function. All right, and then if this doesn't work, we'll just style it, and we're going to call it good since the game is technically, maybe we'll add a button to reset the game. You've won. Oh, thanks. Did I win? Okay, good. Let's grab these two. Go here. No. But if I click again, it's going to say I won. I don't know why it's doing that. So I guess we don't need to do that. We can just do like a new game button. Let me know what I was doing wrong in the description there if you have an idea. Here I'm going to do button and we'll say new game or reset. Oh, let's just do new game. New game, and we'll say on click. We will fire off the function reset something. Reset cards. I guess I want to reset the cards, but I also want to reset my turns. Set moves +1. So I think what I actually probably just need to create another function. So we'll say function like handle new game, click. And here what I'll have is reset turn. So that should set everything to nothing. And then I guess I'll set my moves again here to 0. Seems to be a more efficient way to do that. Set the score to 0. And then reset the cards. Let's see if this works. Just fire it like that. Okay, let's try that. And maybe let's move this up above it. And I'll say handle new game click. And we'll move it here. Okay. Console here and here. And then if I click this anytime, it resets everything. All right. So if I click two wrong things, it waits a second. All right, I think we're ready to style it. So why don't we call it that? And we'll just style it pretty quickly. I'm not going to take forever on this. Let's start with some global styling for the buttons. So that when I come over here, whether it's hitting these things or this new game, it can be a little bit nicer looking. So let's come here and we'll grab all the button classes, or I guess tags, and we'll say font inherit. And then font size will be like, let's just set this on the body, I guess. So font size is like 4 rem, since we want it to be pretty big, 3 rem. Let's go ahead and set the font family to like system UI. Thought I had some kind of default set here. Let's go fonts.google.com. We'll just take whatever I've most recently done. Enter, surprise. All right, we'll take font family, enter, and drop it in here. And then I'll do the same. I'll go ahead and grab this here, and we'll drop it in on the index. So index right here. Let's drop it in down here, and while we're here, we might as well change this to say like memory game. All right. So we got that set. Let's go ahead and say, let's do font weight is bold, because it's really going to be that one button. And then background will be none. Border will be none. Now everything inside the body. We've also got our app, which having 3 little CSS things in here makes no sense, but I'll do a gap 2 rem because it's such a small thing. I think that should work. This game board, I guess let's have, these are all global styles anyhow because they're all just in standard CSS files, but let me grab the root and we'll grab some colors here. So we'll do like an accent, and I like to typically set these out to where like you have a hue value. We'll set this up to like 220, which is like a bluish color. And then I'll just wrap this. Actually, let's do this. Let's just do var of hue and do 50% and 50%. And then we'll copy this down a couple times and change this out. So we'll have the text color, and we'll make this a little bit more, but only like a 12% brightness or saturation lightness. There we go. This will be like 98, and maybe make it a little worse because we'll set this as the background of everything. So here, let's go background color, and here I need to actually wrap it in an HSL function, and this will allow us to add transparency on the fly when we need it, which we will in a little bit. So I'll set this to background just to make sure this is working. Let's set this to text. Okay, yeah. And then we will set the color of everything to that. So text like that. Again, that won't make a huge difference right now. I think that's good. Let's come over to the app, and over here, I'm going to set the background color to my accent. And in this case, let's make it like 2% transparency. How about 1%? That'll work. And that's why I do my CSS variables like that, so I can just apply those transparencies kind of on the fly. We'll do padding of maybe 2 rem, something like that. Let's do a border radius of the same. And then let's do a box shadow just to kind of spice it up a bit. So we'll do 1, maybe 2 pixels. Let's do like 2 rem, and then HSL of my accent with like 0.4. It's gonna be way too much, probably. Something more like that. Maybe we'll also do a border, like 2 pixels, solid var. Again, we'll go in here, use my little shortcut, and grab just the accent for that border. Sure, that looks pretty good. Let's also then apply some of the same kind of stuff to the buttons everywhere. So I'll just drop all that in. That's obviously not going to work. On the padding, the border radius, 0.5 rem maybe. Box shadow is going to be a little bit of a different story. Border as well. Let's see, I guess I don't. We'll set that one button a little bit differently than everything else. So let's keep this down here, and maybe this as well. I don't think these things need. Maybe none of them do. So let's set a padding of like 0.5 rem and 1.5 rem. And then I think that's sufficient because it's kind of like, what's that thing called? Like neumorphism or something. Let's also add some. Let's add some padding here, like 2 rem. And that way I need to figure out how to wrap these a little bit differently. Yeah, we'll have to think through that. Maybe we just leave it desktop only for now. All right, other things I need to do. Let's get rid of this then, because those are both set. What I do want to do is grab my button and grab the focus state. This would be for any of them. So for the cards or for the actual new game button, we'll set the outline to none. And then I'm going to do the same thing here, except I'm going to grab let's take the hover. Actually, let's do an is selector and grab the hover or the focus visible, which is like tabbing to it. And here I'm going to bring down this box shadow. So I'll grab this and set this to 0, 0, and 0. So the only thing we're interested in is basically how far out it is. So let's say something like 0.4 rem. And to start with, we're actually going to have an HSL of my background. And then we'll duplicate this again. Except in this case, we're going to change this up to like 0.8 rem and set this to my accent. All right, so if I come over here and I tab to this, that's not what I wanted. Oh, here. Got to close that out. There we go. So it like kind of snaps out. Now I do think I actually want that border radius up here too. So did I have that somewhere here? No. So we'll say, oops. Let's reapply this box shadow. Not box shadow, border. We'll do 2 pixels. Oh, you know what? If I have this box shadow for everything, I actually need this up here. So what we'll do is we'll do this here. And we'll say box shadow. We'll add one more to it. So what I want it is to kind of like fly out from the inside. So we'll say 0, 0, except here we'll say like 1 rem. And we'll have nothing there and set this to accent with like, what do we do? 0.2 opacity, something like that. And then these will be negative. So I'll set these both to negative. And then we can do the same thing here, except we'll get rid of this box shadow entirely. Like this and like this. So that one will be gone and these should pop out. So if I resave this, see, I think this should work. 1 rem, HSL, there we go, /. Maybe we make this a little bit bigger, 2 rem, 1 rem, I don't know, something like that. 0.5 rem. I mean, we also need to space these out a bit. Let's set it more like that. Maybe we make this a little more stark. All right. Then I want to add one more thing, which is the transition. So transition we'll do just on the box shadow. We'll do like 400 milliseconds, and then let's do like ease in and out. And now if I come over here, you see that we get that cool effect. All right, maybe that's a little too long. We also need a cursor of pointer. Pretty cool, right? All right, now the other thing is we're not actually getting this to move out at all. And I'm not sure why. Oh, same thing here. I think that's the reason. Yeah, there we go. So see now it kind of like jumps out at you. I kind of like that. All right, and we'll do maybe 0.6. That's a little aggressive. And 0.3. On either hover or clicking, it does that. All right, maybe it's a touch quicker too. All right, we are almost done. Let's come back over to our cards and do our card container here. Maybe that was in our app. Yeah, our game board here. Let's add a gap of like 0.5 rem. Maybe we do 2 rem, 1 rem. There we go. And then maybe the other thing we do is we do actually switch up some of the custom styles. I don't know that I love how that looks. Yeah, so let's grab this and come over to our cards, and we can leave that like, let's just do aspect ratio 1/1 and apply this here. Except here we're going to go negative and negative, and this will be set to 0 by default. Yeah, there we go. And then maybe what we'll do is just say border 2 pixels solid, and we'll take our accent directly on here. All right, there we go. So now we don't get any kind of weird stuff. We just get this pop out. So none of this box shadow, which also probably means for this over here, we could increase this if we want a little bit to like 1 or even 2 rem, because it's just this new game button thing, and it resets it for us. There we go. All right, lastly, let's style how these things look. So back over to my cards. If they're matched, we need to flip them. So I think that's scale, rotate, Y. Maybe. Let's match some. Does it like flip? Do anything? Is it scale Y? Oh, transform. And then what did I call this a second ago? Rotate. Yeah. So this needs to be transform, and this needs to be rotate Y, I think. Rotate Y. This and this. I thought this would need to be, but I guess let's first of all set the card either way to position of relative. Let's get rid of our red outline. And then what we'll do is take the back, and We'll show the back automatically. No, not the back, the front. So front here, we'll say, I guess both of these are going to be position absolute. So position of absolute. Absolute. All right, awesome. Which means we do need to set probably a width of like 3 rem here and a height of 3 rem. Maybe we do like 8 rem. Well, why don't we just get rid of the rims and do like 80 pixels? So this is obviously going to be just desktop friendly for now, but I think that's fine. All right, and we can get rid of that, I guess, at this point. And maybe we can make the size of these a little bit smaller, like 3. All right, then what I need to do is set both of these to background color of white, or background. All right, and then let's see. I think the rest of that works. Border. Okay, so let's refresh the game. Maybe let's set this on the actual card. Okay, so we'll set that here. I think that works. And then what we'll do is turn this. Let's see, how do you horizontal flip CSS? How to flip an image. Scale X -1. All right, let's do it. So transform scale X -1. I knew it was something with scale or something. No, that's not what I want. Let's go back. Flip an image. Oh yeah, that's what I want. No? That's not what I want. Flip an image in 3D space. Yes. Give it to me. Rotate Y. I thought it was rotate Y. All right, let's go rotate Y. And what we want is 90 degrees maybe. Okay, there we go. Now, how do I disable true? So it's just more like that. So it's definitely clear. Let's just make sure that yeah, so those definitely look disabled. I also probably want cursor to none or not allowed. Not allowed, I think. Cursor not allowed. Cursor not allowed. That's what I put, right? All right, we'll come back over this way. It's definitely what I put. All right, disable true. I guess we also want... So these are really all going to be the same. Yeah, so what I can do is say if card matched or this, either of that, here's what I want it to be like. With the card match, I want to keep it rotated like this. All right, that's what I needed. I just needed degrees. All right, and then I guess what I need to actually rotate is the front, the back. All right. Okay, so where's the back? So, okay, so I think I need the front like that. So this needs to be here. Yeah, okay, here we go. When I click here though, that's when I need to add some kind of like selected property to these cards. Do I have something like that already? Disabled match found. So not quite. So I'll have to add something else as well. But then what I'd want is when they are matched. I want the back here to be set to 0 degrees. And I want the front here to go to 90 degrees. Oops. Like that, I think. All right, let's try it. So if I click enough random times, something should happen, right? Let me come in here. So I need this one and this one. All right. Oh, now I just changed them up. It's fine. 2, they're semi-close. Well, 1 and 1. Okay. So this and this. There we go. Okay, so now they are flipped. So all I have to do is apply some kind of selected thing. So we'll do card.selected to... We'll grab the front. So we'll just do the same thing, right? So what we could just do an is like this, is that, or card selected. Then we'll flip it to the front. So let me just double check that that works. So if I come in here and add selected, that should flip it. Now, where is the actual emoji? Maybe it's the back I want? Nope. Yeah, so I think that's what I want. So here, and I'll just switch this to match back. Yeah, so I think that's what I need to do. So let's come in here and say is that or card.selected. Then I want to flip the back. Okay, there we go. And then here, so let's reset this. I got to get my mind around what we're doing here. So selected. So this is selected here. I also want the front to be rotated back. So I don't have anything here for this. I'm not sure why all these are in different places. Let's move this down. That way at least I can kind of do all these in the same place. Then what I'm going to want is if the card selected, I want the front to be transform. I guess just this, right? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I did actually want an is selector here too. So is, and we'll grab both the card matched and the card dot selected. And we'll grab the front and rotate that. All right, I think that's set. So these two, those are total fail. Let's grab these two right here. So this and this. All right, it flips it. So let's add, what if we change this to like flipped? All right, so come over here, and I guess what we can do is apply. Yeah, let's get rid of that. Let's go back to the app. When I select one, right here, so first selection, second selection. Let's get rid of all this. Handle duplicate, that's just a cheat code for now that only you and I know about. Let's get this reset. I don't know why my printer is not doing anything here. So if it's first selection, do that, and then do that. The other thing I want to do is no matter what it is, I want to take the e.dataset. Now I think what I should do is just add another property on here, right? I think that makes sense to me. So we'll grab all of these and we'll just say like selected or flipped. I'll set this to false to start with, obviously. And then what we'll do is just update that. So that should be another thing that gets passed on with this card. So we'll update it. Nope, when we evaluate, right? Now the only difference is I got to actually set the cards immediately here. If it's not the second selection, I still want to flip it. All right, so what we'll do is, I guess we'll just return this same thing. Right? Yeah. So we'll just have to return the same thing, except I want to do flipped to true. Like this. Definitely not. All right. Let's grab here. So if it is that, I want to return set cards. I want to grab the previous card array, and I want to return prev.map over each card. And there's definitely a more efficient way to do all this. But I think for now we're going to call this good because I don't want this to go any longer. So we'll say card.id equals first. That can't be it either. So I need to actually apply it, because if I do that, it's going to select both of the cards, because that's what this is doing down here. So what I'm going to do is say that on handle click, this is where it's got to happen. I'll say e.target. I'm trying to think through how to do this. So just every time a card is selected, I'm not also outputting moves anywhere. So let's do the moves. Let's add that somewhere. So we'll say like P total moves equals my moves. All right. Oops, I don't need to do that. And maybe we'll put this below the game board. All right, like that. Now if I make selections, it should update those. The only thing I need to do is when these things are selected. We're getting so close. So we'll just say maybe like flipped equals. So I need to pass that state in somehow. I'm just trying to figure out how to update that individually. I guess I have an ID on the card, and that is unique to it, right? So I can do that. So e.target.id. We'll do the same thing. Okay. All right. I think this should work. So if first selection, then I want to move this up here. We'll set second selection. And then I guess I can do that either way. We'll just keep it like that. And then below here, we'll say set cards to prev, and then we'll set prev dot collapse all that map, do card, and then say if card.id, or what was the thing, the key, so we can check the key. That's it. So if the key equals first selection, that doesn't work either because I need the thing I've actually clicked on. All right, well, we are so close, but for the sake of time and because I hear my kids screaming upstairs, I'm going to have to finish this on my own time. And what I'm going to do is leave this to you. Sorry to leave this thing so close, but my kids are jumping around upstairs and I need to be done. So you see how all those are updating. I just need to find one that matches, and then they will flip. I'm just trying to think how to handle this. I guess we could say like it's flipped, and then for both of these, I guess we could also say, can I say like focus? Yeah, so it flips all these. I mean, technically that works. Very, quickly it works. So you get that one, you click this one and realize it's not the right thing. So, sure. Card.match. Let's just maybe set the card, give this thing a transition. Transition. And we could do something like the transform. We could do it over like 600 milliseconds and we could just ease the thing. All right, that means you get a little bit longer at seeing it. So I need to think through how to do that. Maybe I could do a transition delay. So that might be one way, but there we go. We're actually working, and now I can do a new game. Let's try this real quick. Hands. I guess the other thing I need to do is make sure that this disable true. This needs to just be disabled. That's what's going on here. Oops. Because I can't tell when it's disabled and when it's not. So click here and here. Also does not seem to be working. So we'll say, oh, I think it just needs to be like this because it's an attribute. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now it's gonna pop over. All right, found that one. Not there. Not there. I don't remember now what I've seen. There we go. All right, so we did get 1 point. I guess we should probably output the score too. And then for reals, we're gonna call this thing quit. All right, I'll go ahead and throw the code up on GitHub. This wasn't the fastest challenge I've ever done, but total score, we'll set this to score. All right, there we go. So now I've got exactly 1. Now I'm back to 0, but it's counting my moves up again. So that's pretty close, and hopefully you enjoyed that. Thanks for following along, and thanks for putting up with me doing a live stream out of time. All right, thanks so much. I will catch you in the next one. Happy coding.